You should have.
I will.
Yeah, and I'm a cancer survivor.
You're a cancer survivor and you wear that badge with honor, of course. So please do tell us, so how did you first found out? At what age were you in school? How was it?
I was in Form 2 when I was 15 years old. At first, there were just slight headaches, like you feel dizziness, nose bleeding, and all that stuff. So there's this one particular day when the dizziness was too much. I didn't go to school. So me and Mom, we decided to visit a nearby hospital located at Donholm, where they did just normal checkups, typhoid, and all that stuff. But the doctor who saw us, she basically said, it's more than what we think and we should go to a bigger hospital. So after that, we went back home. We were given some medication. I took them for a while, but nothing was changing. So I started to become pale and pale and pale, and I even started to become yellow. So Mom said, let us go to a bigger hospital. We went to Shalom Hospital, where I was admitted for like 3 days, but I refused kabisa. Hospitali.
Upendi hospitali.
Upendi hospitali. So it was a must. I was even refusing to go for this. So I stayed there 3 days. They told me it was anemia. Every morning they just gave me the medication. For a while it suppressed. Things started to go normal. I went back home, but there was no change. I started developing mumps here under my armpits. I started becoming thin, like so thin. I started getting a lot of fatigue, which was endless. Like you just feel tired and you don't know why, even if you haven't done anything. You're just tired, you just become pale. So these months, they were really affecting me, since at a sauti, you had to shout so loud so that I can hear you. As Mom said, first you go check up on this, because they were even affecting my facial. Yeah. So we went to a hospital in Westlands, but they say they don't do CT scan and X-ray. We were transferred to Parklands, where we did a CT scan and X-ray, where they saw those mumps were so big, like they were so big. So the doctor said, he referred us to Dr. Simiu. She deals with the throat part. So we went to her, me, my dad, and my aunt. She examined me, and the first thing she told my dad was, "This is cancer." And you know,
Ivo tu yani.
Like this, like she tried to sugarcoat but no, she just said, "This is cancer, and it needs to be treated before it gets worse."
Yes.
I remember that day I cried.
Wow, because you're young and you've read stories, so you're like, what's going to happen to you? You're scared. So did they start treatment immediately?
No. So my dad said, let's us go to another hospital.
Oh yeah, alikuwa bado in denial.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's not an easy thing.
I know.
So he said, let's go and get a referral. So we went back home. And like we stayed at home for a while. Yes. Until 8th of August. So like I eat something.
You puke. Yeah.
I vomited. Like I started feeling like I'm burning inside. Like it's a burn in me. So that 8th of August, the day of election, I woke up at around 3.
That was 2017, yeah?
Yeah. Then my legs weren't able to carry me, so I fell down.
Oh.
At that moment, my mom said, well, this thing, it's like it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So we go back to Aga Khan where we went back that morning. I remember very well. I was even taken to the emergency ward. So there was this Hindu doctor who came and saw me, did those checkups. You know, me, I could hear from a distance what she was saying. So he told my mom, like, this is cancer and we need to take her to HDU and start treatment immediately.
Right.
But the cost was so expensive. It was like 400,000.
Almost $500,000.
Almost $500,000. So my mom wasn't able to first. Then she asked him if we could be transferred to another hospital. He recommended us to a hospital in Utawala, modern hospital. We went there. On arrival, I was told I need to be done a minor surgery so they can put those pipes that help someone to go to the washroom, but I refused. I said like, no, I can't take myself. Those pipes.
You were so strong.
No, it's of pipes. So we stayed there. They booked an appointment they wanted to do an operation, like to remove the mumps. So like the operation was due on I also stayed there like for 3 days. So the second day in the evening, they wanted to do that operation. And I told my mom like, me, I don't want.
Yeah.
We look for, no, me, I don't want to stay here. Like, operation, because there's no other option, like, bona hiyo. So, like, on that day, walikuwa waniache. They go back home. I cried. I told them, me, I'm not staying here. Like, they take me out of here. So, it's quite expensive to stay there. I got out. You just start pretending like you're strong because you don't want to go back there. It became worse and worse and worse. So one day at night, they told me we were going somewhere. So I followed them. We came back to Aga Khan.
Walikucheza. Oh no.
Peleka children's ward. So kumbe they're preparing for how nafaa kulazwa. And me, I'm just sitting there like, it's just too small.
Yeah, checkups.
And then we go back home. I stayed there. And then they told me, come tukuonyeshe where you will sleep. You don't become tired. So I went, kidogo they're bringing me uniforms. I'm like, I thought I was going back home.
Yeah. All this was just too much for you.
It was too much. Remembering I needed to go back to school.
Yeah.
My friends asking me, where are you? And all that.
Yeah, it must have been hard.
So I'm still remembering what that doctor said. It may be cancer. So they had to do a full examination where they have to remove your bone marrow.
Yeah.
And see what.
Assess.
Yeah. So they did that like the next day. And the results came back, and it turned out I had cancer, blood cancer.
Yeah, that's leukemia now.
Yeah, ALL. I really loved Aga Khan Hospital since their services are so nice.
Right.
So like I already knew in the back of my mind this is cancer. So I just say God.
You brace yourself. Yeah.
So I was given Dr. Professor Masharia. He's a well-known oncologist, pediatrician oncologist. He came in and told me, oh, Marion, you know, this and this. Like, they're trying to...
Yeah, to kind of cancel you.
Yeah, but me, I already know what's happening.
Yeah.
So he told me, like, I won't have any hair, all that stuff will happen to me, so much injections. I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. So my mom told me, like, would you love to shave right now before?
Before it starts falling off. Oh no.
So I said, okay, we shave it. It remained ka afro.
Oh.
So we started the treatment.
And how was the chemo? Like the very first time?
The very first time I was given a chemo through my back so that it can spread to my brain. Like that one wasn't nice. It wasn't a nice experience.
You can feel that
as
thing.
No. You sleep. They give you an injection.
Oh, anesthesia.
Yeah. You sleep for a while. Then that one was not that quite well. I woke up paralyzed. My legs, I'm like, Mom, where are my legs?
You can feel your legs. Oh no.
Well, that one was bad. I even told him I don't want to do another one, but it was.
And for how long did that go on, the sessions?
Those sessions, after 1 week. After 1 week.
For a period of how long?
Almost a year.
Wow.
And blood, I had to be added more blood. So
yes.
I had to call people to come and give me
to help in donating, because now they have to get rid of the one uko nayo and
so I had
give you.
So that donation, I really don't like it, because you could feel the smell of the blood and the taste.
It's really annoying.
And this one was ORS. This one for drinking to prevent dehydration. Man, that thing
it was terrible.
Bad. And then I was, before starting the treatment, I felt really sick. I went to HD where I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't. I was just there. Even if you ask me what I was thinking, I don't know.
You wouldn't know.
I was just there.
And maybe because of time, fast forward to when did they tell you that now you're good to go and the cancer has been contained and you went into remission?
Yeah, I had to go for radios. My hair fell off.
Ata ako kafro. Woi. Kalisha kote. Oh,
for 3 months.
Ay. Oh no. But look at your hair now, it looks good.
Thank you. For 3 months. So they had to, in order to see if everything is okay, first cancer, you must accept it. True. In order to heal.
Yeah.
If you don't accept it, it will
be hard, yeah.
So I accepted it. We went well with the treatment. It never reached the stage where I should go to India for a transplant.
Yeah.
It didn't get there. I thank God for that.
Yeah.
So they had to do some more checkups.
Yes.
For the bone marrow, it's all about the bone marrow. They see no cancer cell. They see my white blood cells are normal. The platelets are normal.
Yes.
So it reached a point where they saw no cells. Kabisa. So I went for, what are they called? Boosters. I went for boosters to keep me healthy. Yeah, and I thank God. But I got sponsors. Aga Khan has really helped me. I got sponsors.
Congratulations to that hospital.
I got sponsors because our bill almost was about 4 million. So you can't. I thank God for them. Yeah. So after that, I started to do that bone marrow medication after 3 months.
Yeah.
Inaenda tu hivyo ikiisha. Right now, I'm supposed to be going for my 3 months. When I finished medication, there were some maintenance, 1 year. 2 years, you go daily, every month for your checkup. After that, now I have to go after 3 months.
Yeah.
And after that, I have to go after 6 months. But I also have to take care of myself, avoid certain stuff, and eat a lot.
Wow. So they also gave you a nutritional guidance as to what. So what did they advise that you take in order to regain your health back?
Vegetables, mostly I was advised to drink. I blend dates and milk together and drink. And I was told to avoid herbal medication.
Walai. like that's what they always advise people, like stop treating yourself. Okay.
Avoid them kabisa.
Yeah.
And I eat a lot of veggies. I avoid beverage,
alcohol.
Alcohol, I was told if you want to die,
okay.
Drink kabisa. I avoid all that. Yeah.
But how are you feeling now? How are you feeling sitting there telling this story? What does it mean to you?
It means a lot. It means a lot because I remember there was a time people thought I heard some people say I have AIDS because of me.
Yeah, because now you lost weight because of the cancer.
Yeah. And I lost friends. Like
I can only imagine.
It was a journey, and I thank God because me too, I advise other kids.
Yeah,
and they see me and they're like, me, I have hopes.
Yeah, and maybe actually I just want you to take this moment, as we wind up, just what would you say to a child who is battling with cancer right now, and maybe they just got the information, or maybe the parents, what would you say to them?
For me, basically, you put your trust in God, and just accept it, because it opens path that you never thought it will open. For me, I studied the book of Job. I saw he lost everything, but at the end he came out as a conqueror. For me, cancer is just a step to your greatness. You never know where it can lead you to.
Look at you. I am so proud of you, by the way, because you were so young at 15, Form 2. I mean, you're just getting to understand, students, you're getting to make more friends. But I'm so happy that you shared this story with us. I mean, I feel inspired and I feel strengthened, and knowing that, there's always a cure. All you have to do is make sure when you have detected any weird signs or anything, don't be in denial. Yes, don't assume.
Assumptions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just have to go to the hospital, get a good checkup, and go to a good hospital. And I think Aga Khan, since you've mentioned it, that's good. If they gave you the palliative care, they gave you good care, I think it all helps to make sure that your mental health, psychologically, you're good. Yeah. And that even fastens and speeds up, the recovery. And I love that also you've mentioned you're currently going for more checkups, because what I understand is that with cancer, you have to keep track.
So that it doesn't
relapse. Yeah, but thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm proud of you, and please keep sharing the good message, keep giving hope to other people, because trust me, a lot of people need it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so dear viewers, I know you've had such an amazing session listening to Marion here. She's a fighter, she's battled with it, but I think what we can get from her, the advice we can pick from her, is that the moment you detect any weirdness, the paleness, all the health issues, you have to make sure you get tested. You have to make sure you're not in denial. You have to accept it, because that speeds up your recovery. So thank you very much. Now we're going to take a really short break, but once we get back, we're going to be sitting down with an expert so that we can get to understand all about it. She has mentioned about the chemo, the radiotherapy that she had to go through. So we're just going to dive deep, more into it and understand what it's all about. So please do not go far.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Check it, you're bro. Check.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Kaluma King Herbal Lozenges zinazo nguvu maradufu kutuliza kikohozi, vidonda vya koo na mafua. Kaluma King ni shwari.
Aya, tika mama huyo muharifu kaiba kuku zangu, vifaranga wangu na mayai zote pia kabeba. Aya, tika mama huyo.
Maumivu yakizidi, muone daktari.
I get asked this question a lot, like, what is your motivation? And for me is, I don't want poverty.
I'm an entrepreneur for work. I'm also a fashion designer, and I think my taste is amazing.
I am a mental health advocate, and I'm a dog mom, and I'm an auntie.
Marriage, no care. You're being treated so badly, but then you have cash in your account.
So she says dating the governor, who I will not mention. I think you should,
Betty, stop.
we should be able to sit down.
We are
and
sat down
talk.
right now.
Everyone feels like they're right. It's just not going anywhere.
Who's heads, who's tails?
Heads.
I'm always heads.
Usiyakubalie maumivu ya misuli kukatiza ratiba yako. Kaluma Pain Balm ni dawa ya kusugua iliyotengenezwa kutoka kwa miche maalum ili kutuliza maumivu ya misuli. Kaluma Pain Balm. Shhh. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Body of Mr. Namdi Wokiji was found at a beach house this morning.
When was the last time you saw Namdi?
At the party.
Did you notice anything strange about last night?
Are you taking money from my mother for this wedding?
You shouldn't be looking at that.
DJ killed my son, and I want the world to know it.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. Now, of course, it's time to now talk to a health expert, and we are at the pediatric oncology ward here at Kenyatta National Hospital. And joining the conversation is Dr. Irene. Habari yako?
Nzuri sana.
Yeah, please do tell us, what do you specialize in?
Okay, I specialize in pediatric hematology and oncology. That means we treat children with blood diseases and also with cancers.
Okay, right. And thank you so much for having us. So I'm very much curious, what causes cancer in children?
What causes cancer in children a lot of times is not known because it tends to be things that are genetic. Maybe something went wrong in the genetic system of a child, in the chromosomes, and that thing makes cells start to multiply abnormally. With abnormal multiplication of cells, they develop cancer. You'll find that a lot of childhood cancers will have some factors that will predispose that have to do with genetic syndromes. Right. It's not the kind of answer that you'll tell a parent, this is what caused cancer in your child. And many times it doesn't have lifestyle issues. It's not about what the child has done, because small babies have not lived a life. There's no life. They are not smoking cigarettes, they are not drinking alcohol, they are not engaging in irresponsible sexual behavior. So there's a percentage of childhood cancers that is genetic and that is predisposed to by some infections or some syndromes, but the bigger portion, research is still going on to be able to actually establish what caused the cancer.
Right. And I think that comes with, most of the time we are told that, you know, cancer is caused by some of the things that we do, the lifestyle behaviors. So I think as a child, you might ask yourself, how has that happened? But I understand it's more than that, and it's bigger than that as well. So now it's time to understand, what are these, you know, the most common cancers in children, because I think we have a variety, but what, you know, gets children the most?
Yes, so the commonest one in children is what we call leukemias, the blood cancers, because we divide them into two. There is the one we call hematological, have to do with the blood system and the lymphatic system. Then there is the other group of cancers we call solid tumors that come from a solid organ, like the kidney, the liver, the muscle. So the commonest one is acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Even in this world where you are today, the commonest cancer here right now is acute leukemia, followed by the one we call lymphomas, are the ones that start from the lymph nodes and the lymph glands. Number 3 would be the solid ones. The commonest one in our setting is the one from the kidney. We call it a Wilms tumor. Still pretty common. Those are really the commonest at the moment.
Right. And what are the chances of survival for children that have cancer?
That's a very good question, because the chance of survival for children with cancer really depends on where you are, because in the high income countries, their survival is more than 80%, and yet they have the lesser burden of tumors in children. They have like 20% of the burden of disease, but they survive more than 80%. Now come back home. In our country, in low-income countries, survival is 20 to 30%, and this is where we have the biggest burden, like 80% of the childhood cancers are here. So our survival is still quite low, 20 to 30%, but we are making steps and working towards making it better.
Right. And when now we look at the, the other side of treatment, I understand that, it involves a lot of intense, treatment, especially with the chemo. I don't know if maybe it's less intense for kids, the treatment. How is it?
So the treatment, especially for children, the treatment modalities are the same. The chemotherapy, which means it's a lot of drugs that either you give through the vein or through injections, even tablets, even some that we give through the back, chemotherapy. In terms of intensity, it will just depend on how risky is the disease. The children with high-risk disease have to get more intense chemo. The ones with low-risk disease can get less intense chemo. Maybe what happens is that we are able to measure and calculate the small doses for children depending on the size of the child. And so because children are small, even those small doses for them will still give them trouble in terms of side effects, but they are able to cure their disease. There's also radiotherapy, the one where they are put in a special machine, like a special X-ray, to also treat their cancer. There's surgery, the ones that are solid in an organ, they can go to theater and it can be removed. Immunotherapy. There are some of these other modalities, newer targeted therapies that we also use to treat them.
Yeah, and recently I was just watching some videos, looking at different case studies as well. And I understand that at times when a kid has cancer and then, goes through the whole process of treatment, it gets to a point that they get this effects even later on in life. So I don't know what really goes on in that.
Yes, it is true, the late effects of treatment. So usually what we look at it is the benefit versus the risk, because you want to say we need to cure the disease, but there's a price to pay for it in a way. So they do get side effects, the immediate ones during the treatment, but there are those ones that also come much later, the one we call the late effects, and especially for these young ones because they are growing. So you find some of these treatments are going to affect their growth, their cognitive development. You find they'll be smaller than the rest of the general children in the population. Issues to do with hormones, because some of those treatments will target the thyroid, the areas in the brain that regulate hormones. Issues of fertility from time to time. We worry about their heart, sometimes their hearing. So as you're giving the treatment, we are going to achieve cure, but not at no cost. There's a small price to pay in terms of the later effects. And what we ensure is that we follow them. It's a whole journey. We don't abandon them at the end of treatment. We still follow later for those late effects and see how to mitigate and how to manage it. And we've had a lot of them survivors with a few of these late effects that we can try to maneuver around. So we better have a child who is alive and cured of cancer, but is able to deal with the little late effects that come. Yeah, it's not very innocent.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of conversations around relapses, especially for kids. So how do you contain that, as doctors?
Yes, so relapses in children, they do occur based on the aggressiveness of the disease. And so you find every child we are treating, we are able to stratify and tell based on the features of that cancer. Is it standard risk or rather low risk, or is it high risk? And the ones who have high risk features are the ones we are really worried about relapse, because the high risk is a risk of relapse. And so what you ensure is that their treatment is more intense, their treatment is longer, so they get more drugs, higher doses for a longer time, compared to the one who is standard risk, who will get lesser chemotherapy, maybe for a lesser duration of time. So by intensifying their treatment, you're trying to reduce the risk of relapse. But inevitably, there are those that are going to relapse, even after giving more intense treatment. And so I think for us, when the relapse comes, we just take it individually as it comes.
Right.
You stratify the disease again, you treat again, you look for options. For some cancers like the leukemias now, when a relapse occurs after you had given very intense therapy, you give them the option of going for like a bone marrow transplant, because now that would mean they need a whole new bone marrow. And sadly, that treatment is not available in our country. So they have to figure out how to go out of the country, get a bone marrow transplant to achieve cure. So relapses are difficult to handle, but we still try our best to see how to manage them.
Yeah. And I understand that breaking the news to a parent can be really difficult. So what has been your experience with parents receiving the news of, their kids having cancer? And also, do you have a way to deliver the news to make sure it doesn't, come off as a big shock to them?
Yes, that is true. And that's an area that we keep improving over time. It's not good news. It's very shocking for a parent to be told that your child has cancer. And again, with all the myths and the beliefs we have about cancer. So we have a system in our hospital here in Kenyatta where we do what we call a family conference. So you don't just bring the parents alone. They come together with people they trust, people who are closer to them, and you sit in a family conference. So apart from us as the doctors being there, we make sure we have a counselor, you have a social worker there, you have somebody from palliative. We even sometimes invite a spiritual leader of their choice. So already, by setting that family conference, the parent can tell the news coming is not going to be good news. But now as you break it to them in bits at their level of understanding, allow them to ask questions, we say the truth as it is, but in a gentle way, and you allow them to react. It's not good. Allow them to cry, allow them to explore their emotions. I think for them, it's just important for them to realize that we are there for them. It's very bad. It's not a good thing to hear, but when they see the whole team together, and then we even tell them it's okay, we can have these meetings as many times as possible.
Right.
Because that first day, even what you're told, you may not even remember because a lot runs through their mind. But if you do it again and again, and you're constantly there for them, we've seen that within a short time, they are quickly able to adapt, accept the diagnosis, and become part of the treatment journey.
Right. And I think when we had a conversation with a case study recently, because we were able to talk to a lady who has survived leukemia, and she informed us that the whole chemotherapy took like 2 years for it to be complete. So for kids, maybe below the age of 5 or below the age of 6, do they have to go home and come back regularly, or do you have to now put them in a ward all through the treatment process?
Very good question. Yes. So the initial part of the treatment is a bit intense, the one we call induction. So when you are now starting the chemotherapy, because now you are having many cancer cells in the body, like now for leukemia. So in that first phase, you're trying to lower that burden, the number of the cancer cells, using the chemotherapy. And there are some side effects they are going to get from that before that cancer burden comes down to a stable level. Right. So that initial phase of treatment, yes, we prefer to keep them in the ward so that we can easily monitor, manage the side effects. But once you get through that induction phase and go to what you call a remission, from there, most of the treatments, we do them in the daycare. And Kenyatta Hospital started the daycare for children. So they can come, get their chemotherapy, get their fluids, go home. They follow a timetable. We give them the treatment plan. So most of those 2 years, they actually take the treatment from home. Mm-hmm. But when a child is sick or when there is very intense treatment to be given, they come here in the ward a few days, treated, go home. Mm-hmm. We really want them to just be children. We still want them to be home as much as possible.
And be in the company of the family, friends.
Exactly.
And that now brings us to another question about the coping mechanisms. How do you help them, with the whole recovery process? Because apart from the doctor's prescription and whatever they have to do with the chemos, with the medication, what other steps do you take into consideration, to make sure that they speed up their recovery?
So we look at this whole child in totality, because at the end of the day, despite a cancer diagnosis, they are still babies and they are still children. And so for us, there's a lot of play therapy, especially in this ward. Like you came today and found them playing. They're preparing to go out for a trip, to go to
today.
Today, yes, they're going to the park. They're going to have fun, see animals, eat out, come back to the ward and still continue their chemotherapy. And so we try to organize for them events, things that just will make them happy, for them to realize, you have cancer, yes, but you're still a child and life goes on.
True.
The other side of the ward, we have a classroom, so we make sure they continue learning, because when the teacher comes and they are being taught, their mind is preoccupied with learning and trying to gain more skills. So they are not always thinking about the needles and the chemotherapy and the disease. We have a lot of music therapy. So here music will always be playing, but we also have some nice groups of volunteers who come and play music. They do art, a lot of art therapy here. We have a nice play area downstairs. Maybe you'll find time and go and see, so they can go outside and play. I think what we try to do is just to make them realize it's okay to have cancer, go through the treatment, but still be a child and just do the things that a normal child should do. And I think for them being together also, they sort of support each other.
Yeah.
In a way, they have their own support group. You should find them here telling each other, you know, today we have chemo, you know, today the one's supporting the one who has an injection today. They have a way of psychosocially supporting each other.
Wow.
And so I think that feeling of like their family really helps them to cope. Yeah, but generally, we just try to make them live a normal life.
Yes. And I think I've observed that myself when I got here. They are playful, they're energetic. You wouldn't even think that they are going through something so difficult. But I think I would commend doctors for what I've been able to observe, because even our case study informed us that when she was at the hospital, she was given the best care. You know, they took care of her very, very well. And I think we've made a lot of progress, you know, regarding the whole pediatric oncology stuff. So maybe as we wind up, I believe you've interacted with various parents and kids. What would you tell a parent who is struggling with a child who has cancer and maybe they feel like, you know, they're devastated, they've gotten to somewhere, a point of no return? What would you say to them from your experience?
Okay, for that parent who is feeling devastated and hopeless, I would say there is hope, because childhood cancer is curable. It is truly curable if they are treated early and if they are treated on time. And even for the ones that come late, and you know, we need to accept the fact that there are those that really come at stage 4 and cure is not possible, so we are going to palliate, just to assure this parent that we are there. Just the presence and knowing that we will walk this journey with you. Do not struggle alone. Please come. Come, bring your child. In this world, parents actually leave their children here with us as well, so that the burden is easier on that parent and on that family. So we'll tell this parent to have hope, to get encouraged, and to please come, so that we find out where the challenges are and how we can navigate and walk through together. We just don't want a parent to ever feel alone.
Yeah.
If you have a child with cancer, just know we are here and we are part of that journey.
Yes.
And we are willing to help you go through it, hoping for cure. But even if cure does not come, we are still there to walk the journey with the child until the end. Yeah.
And maybe as we wind up, because of time, I mean, they're supposed to be leaving.
Yeah.
But anyway, what kind of lifestyle, you know, behaviors do they have to adapt now after, you know, the diagnosis, and also their nutrition and stuff like that?
Yes, nutrition, very important. We want them to have a healthy, balanced diet. Yeah. So we recommend a lot of fluids, a lot of water, fruits, vegetables, really a healthy, balanced diet from home. And then we also want them to do exercise. We want them to play around. Children should be playful, so that their system is strong. We still teach them a lot of infection control measures. You'll find them here washing their hands, sanitizing for you, you know, so that even when they go back home and they're interacting back in school, their immunity is already weak because of the cancer and because of the chemotherapy. So they're able to have a lifestyle where they are checking infection control, avoid crowding, you know, just be hygienic. And we just want them to grow normally and just be normal children.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much for, you know, this amazing session. I think I've personally enjoyed and also learned a lot. And I think even the viewer at home has definitely learned a thing or two about, you know, child cancer. It's curable. It's definitely not something that you have to be so devastated about. There's care everywhere. I mean, I've been able to even observe how amazing the kids are here. They are active, they are jovial, they are about to go out. So I believe that we've been able to learn a thing or two. But for now, I will be